All right, it's a spring game. No fancy or sarcastic intro. Grab your pencil and your paper. It's the obligatory PSU pregame show, even though there's no game, basically.
That's all right. We'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, we're back. We're doing something we have not done on this program since before the 2017 season. Right. We're bringing you an obligatory pregame show for the Penn State Blue-White game, such as it is in 2025. Now, Mike, that season, as I think about it, was a year in which Penn State had just had a great team that fell a little bit short of playing for a national championship. And expectations were very high, and kind of didn't work out the way we all hoped. So we're hoping history doesn't repeat itself.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it doesn't. But this is a new year, new season, new players, same coaches, most of them. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Penn State will be fine.
That's what everybody's looking for from you, buddy.
No problem.
And of course, we're here at the State College location of the We Are In. Still not open yet as we're filming it, but this is coming soon, and it will be the spot come football season.
Absolutely. So
we are happy to be here, courtesy of our host, Pat Romano, who, if you are a Penn State alum, you absolutely should vote for alumni trustee. Probably by the time you see this, the ballot is in your email, ballot position number 3. You got Landon Tangwall filling in for Euro-tripping Brandon Noble.
It's my honor to be here. It's a pleasure. I'm excited. We're going to talk a little bit of football that no one's going to see unless you're in the stadium.
Yeah, riveting.
It's going to be great stuff.
Riveting stuff.
You're going to
the
get
blue and white game.
Yeah, you get to hear about what happened instead of seeing it. And, it's good. I think it should be fun. And hopefully we all just get out of there safe and get into the summer. And let's get to August 30th? Yeah. As quick as possible. Yeah. Nevada. Let's do it.
The televising of the blue-white game is really only for serious addicts like you and me, Horn, or content creators like Tangwall.
I would have been breaking down that film all summer.
I know it. I know it.
I don't get an intro anymore. This is Guy in the end.
That's coming on.
I just threw it to you. What do you want? I said like you and me, and I was like, well, now Kevin's
I didn't
talk.
take the hint. No, I don't care about the spring. I never cared about the spring game.
Spring game for everybody.
I just need to get in that stadium and try to get rid of this. I'm still upset about the Orange Bowl 4 months later. I can't get over it. So I need to be a little bit of an exorcism. I don't watch the blue-white game. I don't care. I'll walk in and I'll see a few plays, have a chicken basket, say hello, and get out of there. But it feels like a step forward in my emotional progress towards getting rid of that Orange Bowl and the fact we didn't play for a national championship.
I think you're not alone in that. It's a step-by-step recovery process.
That's right.
For some people. I know you were over it 5 minutes after Aller threw the pick.
We move on to the next year. That's what we do. That's right. We move on to the next year. You can't. I play tennis. You can't undo the last point, so you just move on to the next.
Yeah.
See, Mike the Mailman has seen Penn State win 2 national championships, right?
Yes.
You've seen him play for 5.
Yes.
Play for 5.
Yes.
I'm going to be looking like you, Mike the Mailman, in 100 years, and we will not have won one, and it's all finite, and that's why. Anyway, we're not going to relitigate the Orange Bowl. It's been 4 months ago. It's a spring game. We get to watch Jackson Smolik or whoever the hell.
If you look half as good as him in 100 years, you should be so lucky.
That's true. Yeah, too much beer. Too much anti-fragile.
I am curious, though, what percentage of people, who's watching the third-string left guard interested, trying to say, okay, this guy might get some playing time, or who's there to just go get drunk in Beaver Stadium for, one time in the spring?
Oh, the majority are there to just get drunk. The whole point of Blue-White Weekend is not the game. The game is just an excuse to get everybody to State College, hopefully on a warm, nice weather weekend where you can just get a little taste of football in the offseason. And it's really just everything else, which is all the best parts, really.
And it's good for the local Humpty Dumptys from Snowshoe, whatever, to get to go into the stadium for free. Right now, we have a lot of people been priced out because we have to pay jerks like you to come to school here. So
no question.
It's a great family. You can take a family of 6 there for free. So that's a real benefit that I appreciate about the game.
And the tailgates are always nice. That's tailgate before the game. Everyone's laid back.
You tailgate, get a little creamery ice cream, catch up with your friends, all that good stuff. And I will say, to that point, the stadium's not full. Nobody's really paying attention to what's going on down on the field when that's not even going to really be a real game to the extent it ever was this year. So nobody cares if your young kids are screaming and running around and playing because they're not going to pay attention. So you're never going to get them into an actual football game come fall. But you want to start, slowly indoctrinating them. Blue-White Weekend is a good, entry-level opportunity for the little kids.
Yeah, and Franklin did say they're not doing a halftime this year. He said too many people leave to go get drunk in the lots. So he said we're just going to cut out the halftime and just I'd imagine there's going to be some 7-on-7 and that type of thing. So, yeah, it's going to look less and less like a spring game until there is no spring game anymore.
But we want a spring game because we want everyone comes into town. It's a real laid-back weekend. I think they should have it every time.
Oh, I agree. I just think it's probably going to look a lot different in the
No, it
future.
will.
And Franklin said that too. He said the reason why we were dedicated, especially this year, to doing it was because it drives. I mean, look at the hotel. Hotels are $105, and then the spring game comes and they're $905. So you see what it does to the town. It injects, what is there, 7-8 weekends a year that bring money into this town, and maybe a little bit more. Blue-White is one of them.
And I can't wait to talk about that in segment 3. Let's talk about Andrew Olesh and Just Jackson Smolik and all whatever these other people we've never heard of. Chris.
Wow, you just go to a hard transition there. I like it. I like this new aggression you bring to the table this year.
I'm bringing Miami back to me.
Well,
Landon
look,
Tang,
okay.
all the content here who can't follow a run sheet.
To your point about whoever
kidding, buddy.
still needs to get over Miami and think about Miami this year, which is where the national championship game is, and we're all hoping Penn State's playing in it. Expectations are obviously very high going into this season. But a big part of that, Landon, is that we're bringing back a lot of talent. And a lot of these guys at this point are known commodities, which is a great luxury to have. We've got starters, key returning starters, offensive line, defensive line, every level of the defense, your quarterback, your running backs. You feel like you know what you're getting from these guys. So, yeah, I'm not expecting to see a whole lot of Nick Singleton or Katron Allen in the blue-white game. Fair?
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to. Yeah, I want to see the next guys. I want to see what is Andrew Olesh going to be, a wide receiver, tight end? Is maybe even Luke Reynolds? Let's see him make a Tyler Warren-esque catch. Is it going to be, who's going to be quarterback number 2? Is it going to be Grunkmeyer? Is it going to be Smolik? And I think a lot of people kind of wrote Smolik off after that injury, and it was like, well, just you might as well send him to the transfer portal now. But looks like he's fighting and clawing his way back. So I think there's a lot of interest there. Also, the depth at linebacker. That's something that if I'm in the stadium, I'd be curious about, because Franklin came out and said we're going to be running a 4-2-5 and said, hey, if we had 3 studs at linebacker, we probably wouldn't be running a 4-2-5, but that's not the case. So right now, all you really have that you're somewhat sure about is Dom DeLuca and Tony Rojas. Outside of that, it's a lot of unproven. So I think there are some questions that can be answered to some degree in this blue-white game.
Okay, let's talk about that linebacker spot a little bit, because I think it is one of the interest points this offseason. And, if you're an old head like me, you love that linebacker U tradition. I think there's been a little bit of unnecessary bedwetting about the linebacker depth this year. I don't think it's as bad as everybody is making it out to be. It's just that there aren't known commodities, because we had guys who were playing really well at the position for a long time. I'm old enough to remember that you had good players graduate, and then you replaced them with the good players you recruited. And I don't know, I feel like I look at the depth chart, and I don't know that is an area of absolute need in the transfer portal for Penn State, because I think the young guys can play. I don't know how much we're going to learn about that from whatever they do on blue-white, except I do think if you want to take anything away from this, and I always caution everybody, blue-white does not tell you a whole hell of a lot. No. But you can maybe read between the lines and pick some things up. Watch for who plays, who gets out there first, and how much they play. Is that fair, would you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think even more so now than ever with how late we played into the season. And there was a lot of guys, talking to guys like Dom DeLuca in their 5th season, Nick Dawkins in his 6th season. They're making an effort to take some of those reps off of them in practice, and then also the spring game. And so I think we'll mainly see 2s, 3s, and 4s out there. You might see 1 or 2 drives with the first team offense and defense, but I don't know, how much, like you said, how much you're really willing. And you don't want to risk that type of stuff as much either. We've had some pretty serious injuries in spring ball, from what I remember, And, Zariah Fisher, for one. That's a guy I'd be excited to see. Haven't really seen a lot of him. And now with the Mean of Vanover not getting that sixth year, Smith Vilbert leaving to go hang out with Bill Belichick and his girlfriend down in North Carolina. Well, there's not a ton left at defensive end. And Zariah Fisher, I've been going against him for years. He's really talented. He just hasn't been able to get on the field. So I think little things like that, like you said, you might not learn a whole ton, but you can at least get excited about it and get some optimism in your head instead of just thinking about the Orange Bowl, the entire time.
Well, I see a lot of LeVar Arrington Jr. on Saturday. I'm predicting.
I hope.
Speaking of linebackers,
That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I just got to say, I think a lot of people think he's going to start and just be the savior off rip.
That's why I said we're going to see a lot of them.
Please. Yeah. I just want to be clear. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get comfortable. And I mean, it's interesting. It's hard when your dad was the greatest player, arguably ever here. I think LeVar could have that title for just what he did here. And you have the same name, the same number, the same position, and really the same legacy. That's hard to follow up on. So I'm excited to see how he handles it, though.
But he willingly took it on. And I mean, he goes into that with his eyes open. So he understands what it means to have that name and where the sticks at Penn State. So, but I do think it is possible, especially given that, this is essentially an exhibition for the fans, that they might let him get out there and get some run just for exactly that reason. But I think about last season, and again, you don't learn a lot necessarily from the play in the game, but you figured out that Cooper Cousins was doing something right because he was out there with the ones. Right. You saw Quentin Martin get a lot of run at running back, and when they had to go to the third back last year, he was the first guy off the bench. Right. So if you are trying to learn anything from the blue-white game, which I couldn't recommend, I think that's the process you follow. Who plays and how much.
Right.
Yeah. I know who's looking forward to this weekend. Tony Rojas. You know why? There's no tackling in the blue-white game. I'm sorry. That was too hard. I'm sorry, Tony.
To be fair,
there was a lot of improvement last year. I'm sorry. That was just rude to me. I wanted to fill empty space. Mike the Mailman, say something nice and fuzzy.
When I was interviewing the players at the press day we had last year, Tony Ross is the best video game player on the team. He is that.
I saw that universally.
Yeah. He's and by far, hands down. So he will improve his play on the field also.
You can catch him on Twitch, actually. He streams.
Yeah,
streams Call of Duty.
Right.
He streams Call of Duty if you want to check it out.
I'm sorry, Tony. That was not right of me, Tony. I'm sorry.
We're used to it. Don't.
All right. Spring season here. We're banging everything into a mid-season form till we get through this show. So let's take a little break, and we'll talk about some of the big off-season stories. There have been some big splashes for Penn State, and I think a lot of reasons to be really excited about the product that's going to be on the field this fall. So we'll talk about it on the other side. Stay with us. This segment of Obligatory is brought to you by Concierge Medical Associates. Whether you're a weekend warrior or elite-level athlete, let Dr. Stephen Murphy and his board-certified sports medicine specialists keep you at the top of your game. Schedule an in-person or remote consultation at conciergemedical.ai.
Tim and Steve here from the Let's Talk Penn State podcast to preview this week's opponent, Penn State.
Now, how about those Penn State alumni? They don't have too many famous ones, but Rick Santorum, Tom Ridge, Todd Blackledge, Saquon Barkley, Ty Burrell, Patrick Fabian, and of course, everyone's favorite Chewbacca, Junis Suotamu.
Did you know Beaver Stadium not actually named after beavers? It's named after James A. Beaver. He was the governor and then the president of Penn State. It's a big stadium, but not as big this week. They chopped off the west side.
How about some game day buttons poking fun at those Nittany Lions? Blue and whiff. Happy Valley, sad score. Phelan Franklin. 10 years, zero clue, punt state, or loud coach, quiet results.
And what the heck is a Nittany lion? Many people are asking. Turns out, not lions really. They're mountain lions or cougars, and they can be found, or used to be found, on Mount Nittany, right next to campus. Nittany Lions.
How about that? Well, Tim, this week I'm rooting for the white.
I'm rooting for the blue. Go blue, beat white.
And the fight song, it's kind of mid.
We're both in the band. We played it a lot, and it's fine.
It's a fine fight song, not amongst the elite. Who knows? Maybe someday, but probably not.
Go blue, beat white.
Go white. Go State.
All right, we're back here at the We Are In. It's the obligatory PSU pregame show, even though the game we are pregaming is the blue-white game, which isn't a game at all.
No.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us on the For the Bloggy YouTube channel. And, you know, I didn't mention it at the top of the show because I think we will probably get into it more deeply when the season rolls around. But I guess this is technically like the first show of our season, and it is improbably, unbelievably,
Season 10.
number 10
Wow.
for this idiotic program.
Wow.
Wow, Landon was in middle school, elementary school.
10 years ago. Yeah, I probably would have been elementary school, maybe 5th grade.
Wow.
I don't know. I would have been 12.
That would have been a trend I wouldn't have bet on. Really wouldn't have. But I was out last night, and a friend of mine from Phoenix, his name was Mike, he said, you know, Landon was a 5-star recruit, and he's great. He said, but he's a 10-star recruit in all the media stuff that he does. He told me that. He said, when you see him sometime, tell him that. He won't believe me, but he loved what you do. He loves what you do. He loves
Mike.
our show.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Well, I'm just happy to be here on the obligatory pregame
You
show.
like this? No, Noble goes to coach over in Amsterdam or somewhere, and we bring a fluffer on for you while you're sitting on the show.
This is great.
Congratulations.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, we
All right.
replaced our 3-star with a 5-star.
That's right.
We are going to have Brennan join us remotely in between this segment and the next because we can't do a show without him, especially going into year 10, for Christ's sake.
Wow.
All right, so there are, I think, some really interesting offseason stories leading into what is, if not a championship or bust season for Penn State, like damn close to it. Am I off?
Yeah,
I see some people getting a little up in their feelings when the term championship or bust gets thrown around. It's like, hey, look, if this team, based on what they did last year, what they're bringing back, and what they recruited to add to this roster, if they're not playing in Miami again at the end of this season, it's going to be a little bit of a letdown. We shouldn't shy away from that.
That's hard to say. I mean, even I'm the ultimate pessimist. That's hard to say. Again, it depends on the matchups.
Sure.
Right? Depends on the matchups. I had if Penn State happened to get past Notre Dame, I had the delusions that Penn State would beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right? None. I would just have liked to have been there. Right? And same with this year. We don't know who's going to be the powerhouses again. It's actually a fairly open year compared to a lot of years. This Oregon game is going to be a big test in September, the first good team Penn State plays. But I don't know how you can say championship or bust. I mean, it's going to be a great year, I think. The schedule's a little bit harder than last year, despite the cupcake non-conference, I think, because you at Indiana, which is at least they have a pulse.
Yeah, you're at Iowa. You're hosting Nebraska. Who knows what they'll be by the end of the season?
Look, Drew Aller took a big step this year compared to the year before. And so he needs to take another step this coming year to play even marginally competent against the best competition, which he has not done so far, other than Oregon, which Penn State still lost. So that's the key, right? You got to beat at Ohio State. Let's call it 11-1, 10-2. That gets you to the playoffs again, and then from there it just depends. Who do you get matched up with? Do you get another Boise, TCU, or not TCU? Boise, SMU, different regional Texases. Do you get that path again, or do you get caught? Like Oregon did, which is playing blockbusters every weekend. It just depends. It all depends. I'm never going to say championship or bust. It's playoff or bust. If Penn doesn't make the playoffs this year, it's a big, big letdown given who's all coming back. But from there, we'll let it ride, Mike.
Well, 2 years ago, Michigan had all these guys potentially go to the NFL, but they came back to school, and then they won the national championship. Last year, Ohio State had a lot of potential guys to go in the NFL, and they won the national championship. And I think the same scenario exists this year. A lot of Penn State guys could have gone to the NFL, but they came back. That gives me really a positive note about where they're going to go.
And you pick them to win the title every year.
Yes.
10 years you've been doing it. It would be nice for them to actually follow through so that you're putting the pressure on.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, the mailman.
That's right.
And look, the expectations, I'm glad you brought up those Michigan and Ohio State teams because the expectations for both of those squads were among their fan base, go bring home a trophy. Yeah. I think for Penn State fans, again, I think to your point, a playoffs or bust to me is like there's 12 teams that get into the playoffs. Of course, you damn well better get there. But I want to see them at least get that opportunity to play for a title.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you don't make the playoffs, you're probably losing a third game. I think you can still lose to Oregon and Ohio State and still make it, but you're dropping maybe at UCLA right after the Oregon game or an at Iowa. Been there, loudest thing I've ever heard in my entire existence. People don't like to hear that.
Brandon
That
always
is-
said that. Brandon always said I
agree with
I'm sorry, guys. Louder than Beaver Stadium. I kid you not. I'm gonna get crucified for that one. But it was. I thought my eardrums were gonna pop when Taquan Roberson had 3 false starts in a row and then fumbled the ball. So saying all to say,
Do you know what I say about Iowa and Nebraska and all these corn-fed flyover state fan bases? They like to talk about how loyal they are and how loud their stadiums are. What else is there to do in those whole states?
Brother, you live in State College. Let's relax.
We got Philly, we got Pittsburgh, we got Happy Valley, by the way, which is much better than anywhere in Iowa or Nebraska. We got 2 professional football teams. We got great pro sports. We got a lot going on here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And we still get 100,000 people, and it still gets damn loud. So don't come talk to me about, you're in the land of the tumbleweeds and you get people to show up and make noise 7 Saturdays a year. And probably not even that, but 4 Saturdays a year. You don't need them for the cupcake games.
this is true. Getting back,
But yes, it's tough to play at Iowa.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry.
But to talk about, what
Blue
would
White
be,
show.
you don't want to talk about necessarily what would be a disappointment. I think, as Kevin said, it all depends on the opponent. If we get stacked up against, whoever, Texas and then Oregon, and we win those 2 and then go to the semifinals again and lose, well, that also feels a lot different, I feel like, than beating Boise State and SMU.
that's fair.
I think everybody agreed. It was kind of like we far and away had the easiest playoff run that there could have been. So we were more favored in the second game than we were the first. I mean, it was it definitely didn't give you a ton of confidence that we talked about it last time. I feel like we were here on the show, is that we have not beaten really any teams that we were not supposed to beat since 2014. It was Ohio State in 2016. And outside of that, it really hasn't happened. I think to feel Penn State take that next step and for the season to be a true success, I think we need to beat someone that we're not supposed to beat.
Yeah, win a coin flip game, man. That was Notre Dame. That was Notre Dame to me. You're up 10. I don't know. I don't need to dwell on that.
We were better.
Point.
We were better. We were more talented.
I don't know if we were better. I mean, look, we did not have a competent quarterback in the playoffs for a snap, not one, right? Nor to anyone to throw the ball to. So that's a big deficiency. We made up for it around the edges, like Abdul Carter, stuff of legends. But we got to take, I mean, to Coach Franklin's credit, this is the last thing I'll say about last year. Like, I feel guilty not feeling overjoyed like Chris did and others about beating SMU and beating Boise. And trust me, I loved it. I love winning the Fiesta Bowl. I'm out in Phoenix, and that's like the best time. Home playoff game. I felt great about it. But it's like we're double-digit favorites against both these teams, right? So that's not to take away from winning those teams, from beating those teams. But all right, now we have a team you're actually pretty evenly matched against. What do? You do what you always do. You lose in the fourth quarter. So this is the season to buck that trend. And Coach Franklin, to his credit, has stopped. He has a canned answer when he gets asked any sort of question about why aren't you beating any team that's not a complete dumpster fire. And he used to just say, well, winning games is hard and 1-0 and winning every football game. So look around the country at all these teams that lost to teams that are worse than them. And then he would end it there. Now he's added another couple sentences about how, but I understand the expectation here is that you actually have to beat great teams, and we're intending to do that, or something along those lines. So I noticed
now we have alignment.
Right. That's right.
He's
We have
more
alignment.
comfortable now
Nearly
because
bend
of
to
the
booties. Yeah, wonderful. We're going to close the campuses and give it to Lane and Tangle.
Right.
But yes, paying land is more important than having a community college in Du Bois, allegedly. So this is the season to finally do that, right? Oregon, Dylan Gabriel's gone, right? By the way, I like Oregon. They're the ones that called Nico E.M. Oliva, Tennessee's quarterback.
Whatever.
Nico, his agent, called Oregon. It's like, hey, you might want to come to Oregon if you guys can pay him a little bit more. And immediately Dan Lanning called Tennessee and was like, hey, like your dude's cheating on you. Like you should fix this. So I actually have newfound respect for Oregon. But they're down this year a little bit. They're not as good this year as they were last year. And we almost beat them last year. So that's going to be a big test. That's a chance to buck the narrative. It's going to be a fairly even spread, I think, Mike, and we can do it. But that's the narrative in the offseason, right? Like finally, can we have a couple opportunities this coming season? I have no expectation to beat Ohio State out there. I have none. But every other game is ours. It really is. Do that. So you get matched up with probably another home playoff game at that point and go do it. And we took their defensive coordinator. So that's a big thing.
Yes. And I think that is where we are going to go next. And because we have got an actual defensive coordinator on the staff of this show, even though he is multiple time zones away, coaching players in the European Football League who hopefully have not gotten better jobs as like doctors or plumbers or whatever happened to him with his starting safety halfway through the season last year. I think we're going to get Noble's thoughts on that, and then we'll just pick it up from there. So we're going to talk to Brandon Noble on the other side of the Atlantic, and then we'll be back with more from the We Are In. Okay, Noble. Welcome in, buddy, to season 10 of this stupid show.
I can't get. I've gone halfway around the world twice now, and I can't get away from this thing. So you can tell that I decorated my apartment. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. There is a just so everybody knows. There's a little kind of painting over. There's some sort of picture over there. But yeah, I kind of look like I'm in prison here or something like that. But I'm not. I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark.
We appreciate the effort. Thanks so much. So, Brandon, what we wanted to talk to you about was kind of one of the biggest off-season stories that we've been talking about a little bit, and a lot of people are paying a whole lot of attention to, is Penn State shells out a lot of money, wins a bidding war, and poaches Jim Knowles away from Ohio State. But now there's the question of what happens next in Happy Valley, where he comes in and he's very particular about the kind of scheme he wants to run. And so you're switching from Tom Allen, who you've only had for a year, and now you're going to Jim Knowles. So you've been a defensive coordinator. You've gone through coaching changes in the NFL. And I wanted to get a little perspective from you about just what does this offseason look like in terms of you come in as a coach, or you're on the field as a player and you're going through install of a new defense?
From a player's perspective, we'll start there because I don't remember that one as well. It was a long time ago. But from a player's perspective, it's exciting, right? Number one, you're getting something completely new, something different. At the same time, it's a little bit challenging in that if you've been now. I think the caveat here being they only had Tom Allen for like a year, right? You know what I mean? So it was a really quick turnover. So from that perspective, like you're not like entrenched in a system, and now you don't know how much kind of holdover Allen had for Manny Diaz, right? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this, like you've had a couple defensive coordinators over the last couple of years, and we cycled through them for various reasons. So now you're learning something new again. So the ability to like have that comfort level defensively isn't there right now. I think, and what that means is you're not you're thinking a little bit more in spring ball, right? That's what's great about spring ball, right? Is the install, right? You're thinking a little bit more. Defense needs to be very responsive. Very, you want to anticipate things. You want to know exactly where you fit, who fits around you, and how that all works. So it may slow you down a little bit early defensively. The good thing is, look, at the end of the day, like it's find ball, get ball in most defenses, and we've got a lot of guys on defense that can do that. So, I think that there's always also kind of a level of excitement, especially when you kind of watch the way that Ohio State defense played, and if you know anything about Jim Knowles and the things that he does, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I would be excited as a player to be kind of learning this defense now. And then I think the other side of it is from a player's perspective, a program perspective, is you go, let's keep him here, right? You know what I mean? Let's build on this thing now and hopefully keep him in state college for 4, 5, 10 years, however long that looks. But it's a challenge. It's new terminology. It's new fits. It's new coverages. It's new pressures. It's all those things that you just have to kind of digest.
Well, the only defensive coordinators in football who are making more money than Jim Knowles right now were both coaching in the Super Bowl this past year. So if that doesn't keep him here, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and look, he is a Pennsylvania guy, right? You know what I mean? Like Jim's a Pennsylvania guy. He grew up kind of on Penn State football. I actually had the opportunity to clinic with him years ago when I was coaching at Coastal Carolina, and he was at Duke. Clayton Carlin was our DC, another Philly guy, kind of a Delco guy, I guess. And we had an opportunity to go and sit down at Duke with that staff and talk to them a little bit. He's a good football coach.
So what are kind of some common obstacles or challenges, or how do you have to approach it when you're the coach coming in and you're trying to teach the guys your system and you got limited amount of time to do it?
Well, it comes down to like the way that I like to do it, and I've done it twice now overseas, right? So there's like a language barrier too, and so really you want to make sure that you're not giving them more than they can digest in a couple days notice, and get them on the field and get them comfortable. So you're probably going to put, I have never done it in the spring ball, but over here anyways, you're going to do it in a way that, like, we're going to build the foundation over the course of the spring, right? We're going to get the base stuff in, the base pressures, the base coverages, the base calls. We're going to work on the terminology, the base checks, go through spring ball like that, right? And then you get into your summer work, and then it's, hey, we're going to build on top of that, right? You're going to kind of layer it. We'll get the more sub packages and creative pressures and those kinds of things. But you really want to lay the foundation. Hey, look, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is our terminology. Again, base run fits, base coverage, base pressures, and then let the guys play, right? That way you can evaluate them. Going back to what I said before about, from a player's perspective, learning a new system, learning where you fit, being able to play fast. The less I have to really kind of, run through my head pre-snap, the faster I'm going to play. So I think that, and again, Jim's done this a bunch of times, right? Duke, Oklahoma State, Ohio State. Like, he's been all over the place. So he's done this before.
So there you have it. If you're wetting the bed about these stats flying around out there that Jim Knowles has only installed 60% of his defense this spring, nothing to worry about.
No.
Okay, Brandon. So you're leading into random number generator. This time you get to go first. We're not going to predict the score of the blue-white game. The guys don't even know this, but so this is how we're doing random number generator for the blue-white game. It's a 1 to 10 scale, because there's a lot of anticipation and excitement about this season among Penn State football fans. So thinking about the team and where your head is at, thinking about the 2025 edition of the Nittany Lions, 1 to 10 scale, where a 1 is, we're going to say, like the 9 overtime loss to Illinois, the 6-4 loss to Iowa. Okay. And a 10 is, it's 1986, it's 1994. Where are you at?
I'm an 8.
Okay. All right.
I'm an 8.
Man, you're bullish once again, huh?
I am. I'm excited about this season. I think that, we lost some pieces, but we gained some pieces. I'm excited to watch Jim Knowles' defense play football. I'm excited to watch, Kotelnicki kind of have another year under his belt with Aller. I'm excited to see how they replace Tyler Warren. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, I'm excited for, a lot of things that we're going to see. Abdul Carter, right? How are we going to, who are the new guys? Who are the next guys? And I think we're going in the right direction. As disappointing as that loss was in the playoffs, it was so much fun. It was so exciting. I'm still not certain that we're to the 10-point, right? Where it is 86 or those kind of deals. But I think we're moving in that direction. So I feel good, and I'm going to say 8. It may be the Baltic Sea, air that I'm breathing over here, but I'm excited about this season.
I love it. Well, Brandon Noble, defensive coordinator of the Baltic Storm. I appreciate you, brother. I hope you have a great season, and we're looking forward to having you back in the fall.
Thank you, sir.
Random Number Generator is brought to you by the good folks at Anti-Fragile Brewing Company. Anti-Fragile is the official beer supplier fueling the obligatory pregame show. Anti-Fragile brews incredible beer we all enjoy and recommend. And check out their Moody Culture Kombucha and fill up on Uncle John's cheesesteaks. Check them out when you're in Happy Valley at 324 East Calder Way, or anytime at antifragilebrew.com. All right, starting year 10 off strong here at the State College location of the We Are In. And a reminder, if you want to come in for the blue-white game and you don't want to pay $905 a night for a hotel room, check out thewearein.com. You can still get rooms at the Philipsburg location, and it is still the Penn Statiest place where you can enjoy a good meal before or after the game. So check that out. Pleasure having you all here with us, especially you long-timers who've been with us for most, or even in a few rare cases, I know who you are, you know who you are, all of the journey on this stupid show that we do about Penn State football.
Which would be insane, right? We used to do 4 of these in a row. So we'd predict the outcome of the games.
That's right.
And by the fourth game, we would all be blacked out except for Mike the Mailman. So those, I don't know if those are still on YouTube from the original season.
They're not. Season 1 does not exist.
Okay, I'm sure they're somewhere. So if you want to pay us, those are. Remember we did the Ohio State show that year, and we're like, yeah, that sucked. Oh man, and then we won, so we had to delete that and reconvene.
It was fun. It was
Crazy.
different.
It's been 10 years.
In fact, you talked about that the other day, how we did that.
Yeah. Mike and I got to talk to the Penn State podcasting class a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling that exact story.
Now they have a class.
They do, yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So you should probably go in and talk to them. So I talked to you up.
I should have
by the way.
taken it.
I told
You
them
did.
to check
You
out
talked
Landon
to me.
Tengwall, content creator extraordinaire.
Appreciate that, Booch.
So we're talking a lot about the expectations of this team because we understand going into whatever they're going to do in the stadium on Saturday, the biggest news in Penn State football is going to be where Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren went that Thursday night. We haven't had the NFL draft line up with the blue-white game in a long, long time. It used to every year because I remember being up in the Beaver Stadium press box the year we had 4 Nittany Lions go in the first round, the 2003 NFL draft. And so, I do think actually that is emblematic of where Penn State football is right now. 2 guys talked about as potential top 10 draft picks, a lot of things going our way. And, with a few exceptions in terms of offseason transfer portal departures, everything pretty much going Penn State's way. You lose Jawan Sider to Notre Dame. That's a big loss. But you replace him with Stan Drayton, who has reaffirmed the commitments of the young running backs in the pipeline and has a great resume. And, as you mentioned, Kevin, as we talked about with Brandon, you poached Jim Knowles away from Ohio State, so you weaken your biggest adversary in the conference, and you bring in a guy with a great resume who just won a ring. Yeah. Everything's coming up blue and white, guys.
I don't think you could have had better, replacements. Honestly, Stan Drayton, that was kind of the first guy. It was like, well, that's the most obvious choice, but that's also the best choice. So we got, and then no one thought we were going to get Jim Knowles, and that was far and away the best option. Although there's been some questions of, Jim Knowles isn't doing a lot out there, and Franklin said he is a man of few words, and I think that's okay. I mean, when you have the defensive staff that we have, I'm all right with that. When Deion Barnes, who has not been talked about enough for what he did, not only for Abdul Carter's development, but had Keziah Izzard popping off, had Amin Vanover popping off when we needed him in the playoffs against Boise State. And then obviously Dan Connor, Coach Franklin had said that Dan Connor was the linebacker coach last year, so makes me wonder, what was our guy Tom Allen doing?
I don't know. U.S. Swipe Access, you tell us. Landon Tengwall.
No.
The vibes are good. The Jim Knowles thing matters as much for the on-field difference between him and Tom Allen as it does like the vibes, right? Yep. When we get into that, Tom Allen leaves for essentially a lateral job in Clemson at this point. All right, the family. You hear about the family stuff and whatever. And Landon knows the real reasons, but he won't say it on the air. And you hire probably the hottest defensive coordinator in the market from a team that's the program that's better than yours. Right, that's just like a vibe thing more than anything.
Yes,
like you get a win. You haven't beat Ohio State in the field in 9 years, but at least you get a win over them in something, and something that it's not insignificant. It matters. And after, by the way, not everything's great. I mean, the retention. This is what Penn State's great at: getting extremely high quality assistant coaches, retaining everyone on your team that you can possibly retain. Right, but we did lose out on like the top 5 wide receiver targets in the transfer portal. We did. We got a couple of guys, Hudson from USC and the Troy guy. Would James have rather had 2 other people that were on top of his list? Of course he would. But all in all, I prefer his model of like, let's keep the guys we have and let's get great coaches to coach them and let's try to pick some guys off. Now, I wish we could have it all, like the Ohio States and the Georgias and whoever has. But all in all, it's been a positive offseason, and Knowles is sort of the cherry on top of that.
And someone told me actually who lives in Cincinnati, he is like inside as much as you can to Ohio State football, that they said Knowles and Johnson were having battles all year. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Certainly had something to do with it.
But,
the money was the same, and there was some fights there certainly. But
that could help them get out the door or something like that.
Well, and it's also, like I said, when Noble and I did the quick reaction thing right after we hired Jim Knowles, that, this is his opportunity to be the Theo Epstein of college football, because it's one thing if you GM the Red Sox to a World Series. If you can then do that with the Cubs, you're in a category all by yourself. Well, if you can get Ryan Day and James Franklin over, like you have punched your ticket to the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be a pretty enticing, it's got to be a pretty enticing sales pitch to anybody who has done what a guy like Knowles has in the profession and is never going to be a head coach. Like, that is not the path he chose. So to do what he did at Ohio State and then turn around and do it at his home state school, especially given the narrative that James Franklin can't get it done. By the way, Rory McIlroy, right? Like this, I'm telling you, it's a sign. It's a sign. This is a year for the narrative breaking, how everybody says they can't get it done, to get it done. If you can do that, you have really distinguished yourself in your profession in the highest way possible, if you're never going to be somebody who's the head of a program.
Yeah, Rory putting it in the water on hole 13 with the 4-stroke lead at the Masters was emblematic of basically every big Penn State game in the last decade. That is a good analogy, Chris. Thank you for making it.
He wanted to choke it. The moment Rory won the Masters, I think Chris right away had texted, well, it's James Franklin's year too. It has to be.
My favorite meme was when Rory was walking to the clubhouse and everyone's giving a standing O and he's bawling his eyes out. It's like, this is what James Franklin thinks that we should do when we're 10-2. Anyway. That was a great meme. But no, it's a good example. And James he sort of offended Marcus Freeman. Not to go back to the Orange Bowl, but I'm gonna. He sort of offended Marcus Freeman in that press conference.
You got to get it out.
By being like, no, this is a positive. By like playing like, I'm the elder statesman, look at this young gun and I'm the elder statesman. And that was sort of the tone he took when he was answering those questions about how experienced he was, how he's been here before, et cetera, et cetera. And I really think he's embraced that. Like, he's our guy now. And he could have left a million times, and he hasn't. And this is it, man. Like, and this is the year. Like, I don't know. We say that every year. Like, well, this year's lining up. What if we lose Abdul Carter next year? Whatever. This really is, I think, the most hype going into a season. Some outlets, Michael, have us as preseason number 1, which has not happened.
That's a kiss of death. I mean,
a long
as a coach,
time.
I don't want that. I'd rather be 30th. Because now the expectations are so high. It's like, but they know what they're doing too. So.
You said earlier you'd love for us to have it all, like Ohio State does, or Georgia does, Alabama. Mm-hmm. Mike, that's never been Penn State.
Right.
Even under the best stretches when Joe was coaching here, all those wins, national title contention, national championships, we always had to do it while, papering over some deficiencies. We were never the program that had it all. Mm-hmm. And I think just because of the institutional culture and where we're located and just kind of the way people in this part of the country think about college football, we're never going to be that. And that's okay. I mean, I'm okay because we know we can win with that. But to your point about the pressure being on now, I think not since 2017 have the expectations in the offseason been quite what they are right now. And I think what differentiates 2025 from then is you were still kind of inching your way out of the sanction era. And to me, Landon, I think the difference, and I talked about this a lot last year, is that this team has depth that those teams did not. And that's why we've seen this nice run from 2022 to present. The question is, are we good enough at the top end? Have we maintained enough depth? And can we just get it done in the clutch moments so that we get a different result?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the offensive line. Look, offensive linemen bringing it back to offensive line play. But it's the truth. I mean, a lot of people are saying we have the best offensive line in America, maybe not just because of the talent, but because of the depth too. Talking to Nick Dawkins and a couple other guys, we feel like we have 5 guys behind the 5 starters that if we needed to could play and be good enough.
And that's even with JB heading out of town.
Absolutely. JB Nelson obviously recently entered the transfer, was about, at this time in the transfer portal. But, we're going to be plenty fine. It might be time to start the Cooper Cousins era, who I'm incredibly excited about. Not only is he going to be a great player, but I think he will be a fan favorite. The next Nick Dawkins, the mayor of State College, if you will. So really excited to see him get going. But You saw what we did to Boise State. You saw what we did to Notre Dame on the ground. I mean, it was fun to watch our offensive line dominate. We get both running backs back and hopefully a passing game that can be a little bit more competent. And, I mean, the sky's the limit. I'm really excited for this offense. And maybe it's a year. I still think we're going to have a great defense, but lose a couple pieces and maybe not as dynamic as we have been on years past on the defense, although we'll see what Jim Knowles has. But maybe it's the year the offense turns it back on and we're putting up 45, 50 points. That'd be fun to watch. Yeah. I'd enjoy that. Let's let Drew Aller air it out. Let's have some fun. Let's get some speedy wide receivers. Pat Kraft said almost certainly, as you watch this, we are a couple days into the transfer portal. Well, he said we're going after a wide receiver, so let's see if we capture one. But I think we need to dedicate a little bit to this passing game a little bit more. And so when it gets to that point against Notre Dame, when you have to pass the ball in the semifinal championship game, you can do it. And it doesn't feel like an impossible task.
Put 4 tight ends on the field. I'm all for it.
He was trying to ground it, Landon. That wasn't just the wide receiver slacking off or any other thing. He was trying to ground it.
As people saw on For the Bloggy, that was the first glimpse that people saw that Amari Evans did indeed give up on that deep dig on the backside. We're still talking about the Orange Bowl.
Enough Orange Bowl to not make me look like a fool. Blue-white game. So I actually really enjoyed Coach Franklin's answer to the blue-white game question at his press conference a few weeks ago at the beginning of spring practice, which was essentially why he's still having it when all these programs are canceling it. And his answer was great, which was like, I understand how much it means to the hotels and the bars and the restaurants and the community and the fanatics. And like, it might not be a real game, but like, we're always going to have a gathering weekend, like a spring homecoming in essence for this thing.
Awesome.
And he, Coach Franklin's a guy that's always like, well, they're doing it this way at Texas, or they canceled their spring game, and we got to do it like them if we want to be at their level. To this point, he's like, no, actually, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it as long as I'm here, at least.
Yeah,
because it's important to the community.
Yeah. Forget benchmarking. We want other people to look at Penn State and say, I want to do it the way they're doing it.
Exactly.
And yeah, the Blue-White Saturday, Blue-White weekend, it's a top 5 holiday for me. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't care too much about the game.
Although St. Patty's Day and
yes, which is up there. I do go into the games because I am one of the fanatics that it's for. I've gone to damn near every blue-white game for the last 30 years, and I've learned 2 things in that entire time that I thought actually carried forward and really were meaningful for the season. And they were both about quarterbacks. I walked out of the 2005 and the 2016 blue-white games thinking, oh, you know what? Hey, maybe this quarterback we were afraid that couldn't play can actually play. That's Michael Robinson and Trace McSorley. Other than that, you don't learn too much. But the weekend itself is awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So if you can get up here to experience it, just reconvene with your Penn State family and have a good time. You don't even need to go into the game. Just stay out at your tailgate. So no random number generator, guys, because we can't predict the score of the blue-white game. But I'm not going to let you get out of here without randomly generating some numbers. I want you, as we think about fall 2025, on a 1 to 10 scale, where a 1 is the 6-4 game versus Iowa, and a 10 is 1986. How you feeling about your 2025 Nittany Lions here in April of Year of Our Lord 2025? Kevin Horn, go.
Well, you put me on the spot here. I want to be negative to stay with the brand, but also it's been a good offseason. And like, what can you do? I know Mike's going to say 10. I can't say 10. 9 seems like a cop out from saying 10. So you got to go 8, I guess.
And 8. Okay. All right.
I mean,
don't forget your brand. Just speak from the heart.
This will depend.
You're feeling good. You're an 8.
Get us a wide receiver in the spring portal window, and I'll feel a whole lot better. Right.
Okay. All right.
Just hard to do. Some of our NIL guys are in prison, but like, if we can pony up the money to get a wide receiver in the portal, I'll up it to a 9, not a 10, Mike.
Oh no,
I know, but a 9.
All right.
Okay. He says you're a 10. I think you're a 10. They all think you're a 10.
But I have Penn State playing Clemson in the championship game.
He's like, it's a 2, these bums.
It's a 10.
That's obviously a 10. All right. Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that. All right. Okay, so that's some of my favorite athletes, favorite quarterbacks, Jim McMahon, Nick Foles, Trace McSorley.
Well, yeah.
I got to go 9, only because I'm like, well, damn it, Kev went 8. I better get higher than him. Everybody will be like, oh, don't be more negative than Horn. So I'm a 9. All right. Landon Tengwall, content creator extraordinaire.
Yes.
You won that the March Madness bracket of like popular people on Twitter or whatever. So that means you get to go. Your opinion counts more than all of us.
And he's not on scholarship anymore, so he can blast him.
Yeah,
he can
please,
be like
randomly
1.5.
generated
He's got balls below.
You guys didn't leave me much room. I go 8.5.
You're worse than Mailman.
That's good.
You're worse than that.
No, really. Okay, let's talk about where I'm leaving that 1.5.
Oh my God!
Obviously, wide
What
receiver.
an asshole!
Yeah, very much. You didn't leave me. I couldn't go 10.
No.
I can't go 7.
Yeah, no,
I
you're
feel
right.
more
Yeah,
confident than
yeah.
that.
You'll get some calls from the building if you go 7.
That's right. You would.
All right, 8.5.
8.5.
Biggest thing
for it.
that we're
I
leaving out
love
there is the passing game. I've done, did the research on it from 2021 to 2024. Our wide receivers had 200 catches in 2021. 2024, they had 100 catches. It's a 50% drop off. Let's get the wide receivers back involved, and through that is getting maybe one out of the transfer portal. Now, on the defensive side, I'm looking at linebacker. We talked about some questions there, and then also Franklin said we're running a 4-2-5. So who is going to be that nickel safety cornerback, that line position where we saw Jalen Reed play? And honestly, vastly underrated for his pass rushing ability. Felt like Jalen Reed was always causing havoc. Who's going to be that? Who's going to be that guy? My guess would be, as of right now, Zion Tracy is going to be that guy. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a drop off there.
Don't sleep on the returning prodigal son, King Mack. Another number 9.
Yes, King Mack, number 9. So that leaves me at 8.5. Obviously, there is, and can Drew Aller take that next step? Can he be the elite quarterback? Can he be the best guy in college football? And if he can, I don't know. We could be talking about a 1994 offense, guys.
Yeah.
Did I stretch it, Mike? Was that even a stretch for you, maybe?
That's great. Oh, definitely. Later.
All right. Well, they pulled us out of mothballs to do this show. 10 years of this stupid thing. And we'll get Noble stateside. Before you know it, we're going to be talking about kickoff on what is going to be a really fun, exciting season for Penn State football. And the great news is we're going to be 4 weeks into the thing before we even have to worry about losing a game. So we'll have like a whole month to be in the best of spirits.
That Villanova show is going to be rough. I'm just saying it right now.
Yeah,
it's going to be nothing to say.
I cannot wait.
Nothing to say.
So thanks, everybody, for being here with us. And until we talk to you next, take care of yourselves and each other. Come to Happy Valley for Blue White. We are